And here
Oh,
goes
hi.
the intro. I didn't see you there.
Welcome. Have a seat.
Welcome, friend.
Would you like some cognac?
Oh, hello. So sick.
Let's do it just like ASMR to open up all our videos.
Oh, hello.
That's what people do
That's
on
kind of
Friday night.
scary.
Yeah, well, so are people who like ASMR. Sorry, people.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another scary, evil, super evil episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 217, recorded on Tuesday, May 28, 2019. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Brightburn. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., Randy Gandy G. Landy.
Washington is calling in, and it's me. How's it going?
It's going fine, honest Abe. Glad to have you.
Thanks, man. I'm a little ill, so I'm gonna be even less. I'm gonna make even less sense than usual today. Hope everybody's prepared for that.
Sipping on that lean. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, my boy Soju.
What up? It's Sheva Soju.
Oh, when did you add the new reverb pack to your intro?
Pop, 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 pop.
I thought you were about to drop into studio stains.
Dude, remix.
Studio stands, adult contemporary.
It's so contemporary.
So adult. Gentle Mangs. Glad to be back. Glad to be back this week talking about a brand new movie. Before we get into it, let's hit the housekeeping real quick. We're getting down to the wire here for the June poll pick. If you support us on Patreon at the $5 level or above, you can vote on a movie we're going to be talking about this June. The theme for June is Korean horror movies, and the three movies that you can vote between are A Tale of Two Sisters, The Wailing, and Thirst. You've got till the end of the month to do it, so go ahead and get your votes in. The Wailing is still winning.
Woo!
Uh-huh.
Not my pick.
Definitely not Justin's pick. Do we have any new YouTube or Twitch juice?
We don't. So we had a scheduling conflict. We were scheduled to record on the same day I usually do Twitch, but then that got switched around. So I'll make it up at the end of this week. I'm thinking Thursday night, and I might have to do a double down. I know Joe Bob dropped off, so if I need to pick up on a Friday night too to finish out the game, maybe we'll do like a double down. So Thursday night, I feel pretty confident we'll Twitch then. Friday night, if we need to finish up the game, and we're still doing that Bindi and the Ink Machine. So if you want to tune in, if you got that Joe Bob PTSD, hopefully I don't let you down. Hopefully we can pick back up on Friday night. But also, more importantly, housekeeping wise, today we're covering a new movie that came out in Korea. So we're gonna do.
Oh shit!
We're going to do another one of those poster giveaways. I'm like putting it up here. It's like covering my camera right now. So this is the Brightburn poster we're giving away. You can check it out on YouTube. You have to check it out on YouTube if you want this poster. So I'm going to do a little bit better job this time. We're going to have two YouTube videos on YouTube. I will label it specifically in the title, Behind the Scenes. So you're looking for the Brightburn Straight Chillin' Podcast Behind the Scenes video. Go on there, like, subscribe, give us a comment. If you comment on there, I will enter your name, your YouTube name, whatever, on in the pick. And I'll do my little wheel generator thing. I'll have to find that URL again. Give the full URL. You know, got to give props there.
Full URL.
But
Can't
it's a
wait
little.
for.
So it's essentially just a little wheel. So as many people enters, I'll put their names in, and it just picks randomly. And I will announce on next week's episode who won the Brightburn poster. So all you got to do is comment on there, and you could win this dope Korean poster.
And it doesn't
It's
help you.
authentico.
It doesn't help you win any prizes, but if you have an excellent username, that goes a long way privately for me.
Yes. Just for
Yes,
announcing
indeed.
why.
A little brownie point for anybody named like Charlie Bit My Dicks Off 99 or some shit.
99.
Dicks with an X.
Well, I'm assuming they're a young person.
Oh.
Mhm.
Charlie bit my dick off. Damn.
I don't know, man. The Sudafed.
I just got the reference. I was late on that. Charlie bit me.
It's
I'm there.
really-
I'm there with you.
It's really
I don't know
not
why
what-
a young person would know about that though. If they're born in
That's-
99.
That's fair. I just assume the average age of YouTube commenters is somewhere in the teens, the low teens. So
In the low 50s, the dad age. The dad.
having had a multi-million view video on YouTube, I can tell you that the same 4 jokes come out of the same 4 14-year-olds across the country and across the So
And that was episode 205 million views on Straight
no.
Chillin'. That's what
when people saw this bullshit, our lives would be ruined probably.
The sad truth is Andy just posted a random old video
I
of this dude
reposted
whistling
it.
in a really crazy way, and then that's what did it. That's so
Yeah.
much more popular
Dude,
than
I
any of our
watched that
segments.
video like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Legit, we were like walking down the street, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Andy's video." I watched
You
it.
show it to the kids in your class to show them what American culture is like.
I should. That dude with the fucking
should.
mullet and everything.
Dude with a fucking mullet whistling without his lips. That's American right there.
He has lips, but he's not using them, to clarify.
And then I'll get a bunch of the same exact comments, just in Korean.
I'll let you know.
Uh, Sweet. Yeah, I think that's it for the housekeeping, actually. So definitely join us on YouTube. Get your hands on a sweet, authentic Korean Brightburn poster. That shit is dope. Let's go ahead and jump into what we've been watching this week, fellas. Randy, what you been watching?
I watched a few things this week. I've just been kind of like shotgunning through work, and a lot of things are background for me. I rewatched Buster Scruggs last night, which I don't know how that movie isn't more widely talked about, because it just hits so many of my pleasure points. I love that fucking movie. For those who don't know, it's the Coen brothers film that was dropped on Netflix in February, January, maybe. And it's a lot of fucking fun. It's just them going crazy with their character actor friends, basically. I also rewatched Little Pin 15 in honor of their second season being announced. I've been not rewatching. I've been watching Band of Brothers for the first time. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah, dude! Wow. Mm-hmm.
It's an
Never
older
have.
one that I just never got around to, but it's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's a fucking
Oh.
well-made movie or show rather.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
like
is Band of Brothers the one where they're in Germany, or are they in?
They're in Europe.
They're in Europe. Okay, because then there's another one where they're in Asia, where they're in the Pacific, dealing with Japan. So follow it up. They're both great. They're both
Are
great.
they related, in terms of creators or something?
I think so. I mean, it's very much the same size, just on the other side of the world. So.
Well, it's a pretty damn good show. They have interviews with people who are in these like platoons going in World War II and things. They start off every show with some interviews and then kind of just roll into it, and it's just really good fucking filmmaking, honestly. I threw on some C Lab 2021 recently. It's been a while.
Nice throwback.
Ridiculous as I remember it from when I was in fucking middle school, and Adult Swim became a thing. Very much in love with rewatching that, and in that same vein, also rewatching another childhood favorite, which was Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Nice.
I was shocked at how perfectly distilled and memorized I have that whole fucking movie.
Dude,
I must have watched it 1,000 times, I guess. I thought I only saw it a few times, but I'm watching. I was like, I could recite the whole goddamn thing. It's like when you're I don't know, like when you watch Lion King as a child so many times on VHS that you know every second. It's the exact same feeling. I'm like, holy shit! Like this movie should not have been a movie I watched at that age. Really, there's like fuck ton of sexual shit in there, and just like it's like the perfect middle school movie because it's adult enough humor to where you feel like an adult for laughing at it, even though it's just like drinking shit out of a coffee mug and stuff like that. And at the same time, it's soft, like in that same vein, it's sophomoric enough to where you get it, So I don't know. It just reminded me of being in middle school, honestly.
I'm in the same boat as you, Randy. And do you remember a few years ago we popped it on at your house? I think we were drinking, like your parents' house, and we were watching it, but they were like out of town or something. But like you were an adult. Maybe it was when you got back from university or something. I don't know, but. Man, we were losing our shit. That movie holds up well, I think. Like, well, I mean,
from really watching dumb movie.
Yeah,
so,
it is, but it holds up well from my memory. You know, like when things come, the
nostalgia factor is very strong, and it's
sure, yeah.
And it's also like it's the first of the like sequels, so it does that same thing that Wayne's World 2 did, which is recycling the same joke, just with a slightly altered twist. Like instead of a satellite that looks like titties, it has a rocket that looks like a wing. Like, just the bottomest of the barrel jokes, and I loved it growing up, so I love it now by de facto. So that's me.
Nice. Cool. Jesus,
Real highbrow.
What you been watching?
Dude, I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's been a while. I don't think I've seen that movie in a hot minute. That's like I don't know, man. That might be the best Marvel movie that's made. It's like one of the closest things like to kind of capturing that OG feeling of Star Wars, but with its own kind of twist on it. I don't know. As far as like a space. Yeah, like as far as like a space movie goes, and like the like group dynamic and like how they like I don't know. I think it's and I think they even try to follow. I know like in the second Guardians, they kind of like do the whole split up thing like they do in Empire, where one group goes this way, one group. So I mean like, but that first movie, it's like really really great. And I also rewatched. I'm still on that Korean kick, watching Korean movies, horror movies. And I had seen this movie before. I think we casted it. I would love to like kind of recast it. Actually, it's The Host.
The Host.
It's like an old school. I think Rickety picked it like way back in the day, like maybe in the top 20 episodes, maybe or like the first 20.
Sounds right. Yeah. Early.
It was like real. So it's been a while since I had seen it. But it's like funny watching it now. So I'm like fucking living in Korea, and we like covered it so long ago. And like the dude runs like the snack shop and like the family dynamic and just kind of understanding maybe a little bit more of that is pretty cool. But that movie holds up well as well. The monster is like a cool design, but it's got that CG, and it's like from 2006. I think that's its biggest. I would love if it like could get some kind of update or whatever, because like the movie otherwise
call George Lucas up.
Holds up like
hey,
really
George.
well. And the thing is, it's like good enough that it like does. It certainly doesn't ruin the movie or whatever. But I mean, it's definitely like stands out. You're like, oh, But I don't know. I really like that movie as well. I've been going through the Korean horrors, getting ready for next month, and The Host is a good one. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you check it out.
Sweet deal. I checked out a couple movies this week. The first one I want to talk about is a little movie called Slugs from 1988. It's a little slice of fried perfection.
What year was it?
Yeah,
Slugs! The year of our Lord, 1988.
The year of our Lord Goth Bob.
Am I your...
Something like that. So this movie is dumb in a really, really perfect kind of way. Like, so these slugs, they're very tiny. They don't move fast. However,
there's never
like
been a sentence that started that way that ended badly.
We got some slugs, eh?
It's not even
just, like,
it's slugs. They just slime shit. What's going on?
They're like people just hanging out. There's not a slug in sight. and then just like take a step, and then they're covered in slugs, and they're getting eaten alive by these slugs that definitely are just taped to their body and not moving at all.
Damn.
And they're just like, covered in blood, screaming and rolling around, but they just have these little black felt things that are taped on them. Clearly, it's fantastically done.
Is this one of you? Is this your weekly vinegar strokes, Rob? We need to check in.
Stroked. You had another vinegar stroke, did you not?
Did you have a vinegar stroke, Bob?
Come clean. This is actually an Arrow video release.
Okay. Whoa.
However, the Vinegar Syndrome sale was this Friday, and I made some purchases. So
how many, Bob? We're logging it down for the intervention.
Can't wait
we need
for you
to
come
know.
Visit this week with no money.
I purchased 7 films over the
7, Bob.
Yeah.
That's not even
Bob, half
the
price
whole month.
Price at those prices is still a lot of fucking money. That's crazy.
It's whatever, I'm doing research for this.
You got Blood Harvest, didn't you?
I did not. That movie's terrible.
Yeah, well.
Not a big fan of Blood Harvest.
Never stopped you before, Bob.
The Marvelous Murphy.
Never stopped
but
you before.
Slugs is good fun, and it's got a really solid score, and it's super gory and fun. So
here's your homework for that, Bob. You got to go on Amazon Prime, and they have a little film called Ticks from 1990, starring one Sir Seth Green and one Sir Alfonso Ribeiro. So it's great. It's great, and it's not. It's not
sold.
Good. I want to make sure that you understand that when I say it's great, I mean it's great the way the Slugs is great.
Rob's blowing all our Patreon money on his vinegar stroke.
God damn, Rob. The coffers aren't your personal piggy bank. Go stroking elsewhere, Clarence Carter.
Not even close to true. Don't listen to these lies. I also watched a new movie that was dropped on Netflix called The Perfection. Have you guys seen a trailer for this? You familiar with it at all?
I've seen it from Netflix trying to shove it down my throat as they do. We have a new movie. It's like, okay.
Watch it, please.
Watching the host. Calm down.
Yeah. This movie is listed as a drama horror thriller. It's directed by Richard Shepard. I was talking to Anthony our buddy Anthony from Something Ghoulish about this movie a couple days ago. So we both watched it and just came out and we were just talking about it or whatever. And as we started recording this episode, he sent me a text message. It flashed across my phone, and it just said, "I just told Richard Shepard that you hated his movie."
Damn.
Which is not true, by the way. I didn't hate his movie. But also, that's hilarious, and I really want to know exactly how he responded when Anthony told him that.
I think it's probably something along the lines of, okay, I guess we're done.
Well, fuck those guys. They clearly don't know shit.
Well,
no, this movie's a good Netflix movie. It's not... if I paid $10 or $12 to go watch it in the movie theater, I don't know that I really would have liked it as much. But for, throwing it on... and it being the plot develops in a way that was surprising and also satisfactory, I guess. It had some stuff going on. And I
got that lukewarm Netflix deal.
Kind of.
That's Netflix, man.
Sometimes it sticks to the wall, sometimes it does not.
I mean, literally, every Netflix horror movie is like that. It's it's got some good things, but do I want to watch it again? Nah. Will I forget about it in 2 months? Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, I guess.
I mean, that's it. That's the formula.
Not bad, but not good. I think I would recommend it. It's on Netflix. I'd recommend throwing it on if you're trying to find something new. It's not particularly scary. It's more more of a thriller, I guess. I don't even know that I'd call it a straight up horror movie, but it's got some psychological stuff going on, some manipulation, and it definitely has some twisties and some turnies. So yeah, it's.
Is it a cooter of a movie?
I do. Yeah, there might be a cooter.
Oh,
kind of.
it's sounding kind of cootery from over here.
Manipulation. But that's pretty much all I've been watching. Just those two, and Brightburn, of course. So let's go ahead and get in the main event and talk about Brightburn. Randy's trolling me.
I want to mention, if you're watching the behind the scenes video on YouTube, unfortunately it doesn't show Randy's trolling. He'll troll us with like little emoticons. I know, but if you ever see the blue pop up on my face, it's just Randy trolling with his little emoticon.
No.
There it is.
Just like that. Look at that.
He often does it, but it doesn't show up on the video, unfortunately.
Sorry, world. You're just gonna have to imagine that pithy emoticon.
They're all so pithy. All right, let's kick it off with the back of the box. The back of the box that hasn't been made yet. So, Brightburn from 2019 is a horror sci-fi movie coming in at 90 minutes. Directed by David Yarovesky. And it's written by Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn, which I think Brian is James Gunn's brother and Mark is his cousin, or vice versa. I don't know. One's a brother, one's a cousin. So
the Young Guns
is as follows: what if a child from another world crash landed on Earth, but instead of becoming a hero to mankind, he proved to be something far more sinister?
Like a Mormon? Oh, look at him.
Far more sinister.
Sorry, Mormons. You know I'm kidding.
Damn, we just try to piss like every group off.
Just really gunning for the world. I have no idea why.
Fuck French people we have said on this cast. Commie Rob last week.
Help the feminist cause in a few episodes yourself. Really just alienating all people.
We've said some things about women, like
No,
we love them.
Okay, yeah, we have said that. So this movie, Brightburn, going into it, what were you guys thinking? Were you stoked about it? Did you not care?
Randy was excited. Let me tell you how Randy felt.
Would you recommend people go to the theater to check it out? Juice, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I was intrigued by this premise for sure. The fact that they didn't even seem to be hiding that they were doing the super evil Superman. So I was kind of waiting for them to maybe pull the rug out from it, because I was like, man, they're just going full by in the trailers and everything. And so that was really intriguing to me, because I was like, how are they not getting sued? First of all, how is this working? Because I thought even maybe DC was kind of pulling it oh, this is going to be our new train of thought, but different studio. So I don't even know how they kind of pulled this off without getting sued. But they did, and it is what it is. There's no twisty or anything. It's evil Superman. So yeah, I would recommend going to the theater to see it. I thought it was pretty solid. Nothing crazy, but yeah, it was good. It was a good little horror flick for the summer.
Cool. Randy, what about you?
I wasn't terribly excited for this movie. It was, I guess it's kind of an interesting premise, but the idea of a movie that's just it's very obvious what it's going for from the word jump, like Justin said. It never did really subvert what the advertising said it was, which that's not necessarily a bash on it, but it just seemed kind of light in my mind. Okay, Superman but bad, but is there actually going to be anything worth watching besides just the spectacle of bad Superman? And I would say that it does a little bit. It makes an honest effort, I would say, to sort of give you an emotional core, and a through line for you to follow. I don't think it just, and maybe it's by design, but it just doesn't seem to aspire to much more than that. So if you're looking for a movie that's got a little gore, that subverts an American icon while artfully dodging his name constantly, then you could do a lot worse than this movie. It's an original take, but it's I love that original movies are getting made when they happen to get made, even when when I say original, it's kind of not so much. You know, it's kind of a clearly delineated thing that they're just subverting an expectation on, and they don't really go much beyond that. But they do make an honest effort to sort of at least ground it in some characters that you can follow along with. So I give them that. You could do a lot worse. Horror in the theaters, you could do a lot worse.
Cool.
It ain't Winchester.
Yeah, I feel. Woo! I feel kind of similarly. I was pretty excited going into it, especially knowing that like James Gunn had a hand in it, and you know, I'm down for some evil kid Superman, whatnot. Let's get in there and get messy. And Superman. It just kind of like Superman. It kind of I don't know. It never evolved past that whole like, you know, you're having a drink with your buddy at the bar and you're like, you know, what if they made a movie about like a shitty meme Superman? And they're like, yeah, that'd be fucking cool, right? And then
you just write it over a beer in an afternoon.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's on a napkin, and then they just made that into a movie. But still, yeah, it's fun, and I think it's still worth a watch. You're not gonna blow your load on it, or probably. Maybe you will, but
look, Rob, there's a lot of people out there. Somebody
could, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Somebody will like absolutely love this movie, so
and they would be wrong for it.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of like it's one of those movies that sort of hits in such a way that if you're predisposed to like it, you'll like it, and if you aren't, then you're probably going to forget about it.
Except we're about to tell you why you're wrong.
Yep.
No, opinions are opinions, man. I don't know. I hope
until they're wrong.
Love this movie. Oh God. So yeah, that's pretty much it though. I think we all feel probably pretty similarly on this one, but I'll go ahead and drop the spoiler warning and we'll get into it. Here we go. Spoiler warning. All right.
Superman. All right.
So little shitty kid, or I guess
little shitty kid.
Now, I mean, little
shitty kid.
I mean, the thing about this movie is they play into every beat that you expect, and then maybe they throw some things that are like maybe kind of not. I'm surprised they took it to a certain level. Like there are certain things that happen that I was like, oh shit, like they went there. And I was pleased by that, but as far as like what you're expecting as far as the story goes, it is that to the end, from the beginning to the end. You could probably go into this movie knowing what this movie is going to be.
It's almost like it's the tired old trope of, you know, twist endings and all that stuff, but this movie does not even like faint as if it was going to subvert the expectation. It's a very predictable movie, but for, you know, what you're getting, it's still fairly enjoyable. I would say, like, one thing that this movie did that kind of irritated me was like pretty much right out of the gate. Well, the first thing you see is Ma and Pa Kent, whatever Elizabeth Banks and Roy from The Office's names are in this movie.
Roy.
The Breyers.
The Breyers, yeah, I guess the Breyers. Ma and Pa Kettle, whatever. They are interrupted in their sexy times by a alien spacecraft in their barn, or out in the woods, I guess. And they find a baby in it, and then it's like 13 years later, or like 11 years later, it's got a 13-year-old.
They do like the opening credits where they are able to do like just a quick speed through of, oh, him growing up, he's a baby. And then he's 2, and then he's like 5 and stuff like that. So you don't spend any time like them coddling this kid or anything. It's really just kind of like a quick, like, oh, we're going to get him to the age of, like 12. He has a birthday. What is he, 12 or 13?
Yeah, he turns 12. So I have a question
I think,
about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this kid, he turns 12. And the next like big thing that happens in the movie is his spaceship. Like his parents are hiding his spaceship in the barn, right? Spaceship
and he doesn't know it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the spaceship sort of turns on or whatever, and it starts transmitting the signal to the kid, and he sort of wakes up in the middle of his sleep, and his eyes are red, and he's getting this weird alien language in his brain, and you don't know what it's saying at first, but it turns out it's saying "take the world," I think is what it says.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it's almost like he starts doing these bad things against his will when he's like hearing this crazy language in his brain. And so if he was sent, assuming that he was sent to Earth with the intention for him to dominate it, basically take it over, like why would they send an infant baby and then just like wait 12 years?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. This movie's not particularly subtle, and I don't think they're like trying to be.
Are you talking about the bees and shit?
Yeah. So
that shit pissed me off.
At the beginning of this movie, they play it off like, oh, we're giving you some character development, like, oh, he's the smart kid in class, and like he's different or whatever before he turns evil.
Bullied.
Yeah, but the teacher does this whole thing. They're in like science class, and she's like, here's some bees and here's some wasps. What are the difference? And of course, nobody says anything until like this kid Superman pipes up, and he's like, "Oh, bees do this and wasps do this." And he's like, "There are even some wasps that what he said they've lost the ability to make their own nest, and so but they're super strong, so they essentially like make other wasps raise their young for them before essentially destroying them." So like straight out the beginning of this movie, they're like just like laying everything out for you, but like oh, it's hidden like in like a pseudo character development, but it's essentially, I mean, that's what I took from it, because I was like, okay, this is not some like yeah,
that whole thing really irritated me, because it's like calling your shot in the most obvious way possible, but pretending like you're not being obvious about it. You know what I mean? It's it's almost like, I feel, and I could be wrong, maybe they meant everybody to get it, but I feel like the intent there was to have some subtext to what he's talking about, but it is not subtext to me. It was like, okay, so I've seen the trailers for this movie and I know it's Superman but bad, so that explains how Superman but bad. There you go. You can't hear me?
I can. You look really weird.
Yeah, it's your shit is bad. Alright.
We're back.
And there
I
goes
should be
the
wearing a
audio.
different shirt.
We should all just be naked eventually.
Damn, if I was rocking that soju. I haven't had soju in a hot minute, actually.
You need to get back on your soju.
My soju game.
Your different flavors and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why these episodes are shit.
That's why.
Lacking the soju.
We're not wasted enough.
That's accurate.
Another one of the like, I guess, problems. So I had the question about like, why the hell are they like waiting for this kid to grow up for domination? That kind of at least answers my question. And they actually, like, the filmmakers obviously thought about that with the whole like, I'm a wasp child analogy. But
I'm a wasp in a bee nest. Buzz buzz.
Buzz.
I think my biggest problem with this movie is similar to my biggest problem with just the actual character of Superman, and that, like, so we got this like evil little kid, and as soon as that like switch is flipped, like he's just pure fucking evil. He's like not really conflicted at all, and when he starts killing his family, like his parents that like raised him and loved him and nurtured him and stuff, there's just like no real conflict there. And I think that's like such a major swing and a miss, because there's so much opportunity to build like drama and tension and have him like really not being able to control his actions and killing his mom, who like loves him so much. And that's like the biggest, most successful thing in this movie is the parents and like how they show their love, more the mom than the dad. The dad's kind of like, I'm on this little shit.
Well, that's a thing. Not only I agree with you that was a huge miss, but I think everything that you're talking about is a huge miss. As far as like they don't put a whole lot of, there's not a lot of emotional or depth to any of these characters, or any kind of like development to any of these characters. What these characters are at the beginning of this movie is what everybody ends up at the end of this movie. There is no character development. Even for the Superman, it's literally because the ship is telling me what to do, and they do just a little bit of conflict at the very end where he's like, where you think maybe, because he's like, Mom, I want to do good. But And even like I don't even feel conflicted because they do this whole like video thing at the beginning where you watch him growing up and there's nothing to that. And then you see him for like 2 minutes at the beginning of this film. Oh, I'm bullied at school and I'm the smart kid.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
he's powerful.
And then he's evil. Like,
you really don't get to see him like be a normal kid for very long.
No.
So you don't like, and so like there's not like his lack of internal conflict is a problem in terms of story beat, although I do kind of like see a value in doing it that way. And just follow me here, because like this is me trying to like apply subtext to this movie that may or may not be there. But for starters, you've got a story about this is we need to talk about Kevin all over again. In some ways,
a story of a girl.
Yes, it's a story of a girl who finds an alien and it turns out evil. But it's that story of a mom who is like hopelessly in love with her kid. It's a miracle baby situation.
Yeah.
But the kid's turning out to be a shitty person, and she can see it, and the kid abuses her and abuses everybody, but in really subtle enough ways to where he kind of gets away with it, or you can just be written off as kids being kids.
Yeah,
the good son. Yeah, it is to even go further back, but like on a murder, so like on a mass murdery, world-ending, cataclysmic level. So I can see a value in that, because like the idea is in those movies is the same sort of thing where it's like you can only do so much as a parent, and it's like your worst nightmare that your kid, despite your best efforts, becomes a tremendous piece of shit. Yeah. So I mean, to that end, I think that Elizabeth Banks did have some good development, because like not a ton. Oh shit.
I saw him freeze, and he was looking at you like all crazy.
No. It's good. I turned it off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool. Well, fucking tech problems. So yeah, like on some level, I see that as some value, and also I was reminded in this movie of this Chris Gethard bit that he does, which it talks about 13-year-old boys and how they're the worst people on earth. Just inherently shitty people, like, which as somebody who used to be one, yes, you understand. And so like that, me of that
Aziz Ansari like skit too, where he talks about his cousin. What's his cousin's name?
Harris.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Shitty Harris.
But yes, 13-year-old boys are just pieces of shit.
So like I also kind of appreciate that, in that like 13-year-old boys, and this isn't true across the board, and usually it's not true of the star of your movie, is you have people that these kids that they just feel no remorse about certain things, or they don't show it. They're very hard leaning into the power struggles, the power dynamics that they want to establish for themselves so they can define themselves as people. And so like to have that, but with a superhuman person who cannot be humbled, like that, I can see a value in that story. The problem is like they don't ground the kid well enough. Like we said earlier, if you don't have him conflicted at all, and his only conflict is like preserving himself, like these are like people that loved him, and he obviously loved them back. There's evidence throughout this movie of him being raised in a loving environment, reciprocated, and then this switch flips, and you can say like, it's aliens, it's aliens. You can say whatever you want is true about how that works.
Fine.
To me, as a story, it doesn't really work, because I don't see him as a like. I don't see him as a character. Right? He's really more of a plot device for the parents, and the parents don't really have that big of a shift, except for the mom finally understands the real like problem with her kid and finally acknowledges it for herself. But aside from that, there's really not a lot of development. For anybody.
I agree, and I think the problem with this movie is too, some of those things like they touch on, so like you see where it could have gone, but everything is so shallow. Like even you're talking about like, okay, he's like self-preserving himself, and a lot of it has to do with like his aunt and uncle and like people at school, like he actually likes this girl and stuff like that. But like even with the aunt and uncle, like even the problems he's facing seem like so shallow. Like they're so superficial, like these problems that they create, And I almost, it'd be one thing like, okay, like what if the family was like gonna lose their farm and the kid was like worried for his family and he was like trying to do good, but he like maybe robs a bank and accidentally kills some, or like the thing is like his aunt is the counselor at his school and he's like not showing remorse, so she's going to tell the police.
But
why is he
cost saving measure or something?
Yeah, why is he like scared of the police? Like there's no, it made a little sense with the little girl's mom, so I kind of like that a little bit. So he hurts he hurts this little girl, which was actually pretty cool. He like breaks her hand at school, and that's kind of where the whole big thing comes in, is because he's like this is like toward the beginning of his like flip switch, and he likes this girl from the beginning, and he shows up in her room, and I thought that was cool because I was like, what would a 12-year-old boy do
he
with
thinks it's
superpowers? Yeah, so he like goes to her room and like turns on some music or whatever, but she thinks it's obviously really creepy because it is really creepy, but he's 12-year-old boy, like what's he gonna do, so he like does that whole thing.
Pigtails on a super level.
Exactly. And then she's scared of him, and then in like facing that rejection, he breaks her hand, and they show that shit. Like she grabs her and like
he really breaks
it. He like really fucks it up. And so then the mom like acts like, like a huge piece of shit, which is fine because but she, like, oh, you're trash and you're whatever. So he takes his revenge out on the mom. That's fine. That all makes sense. But then they get into this whole conflict of like, oh, the aunt, who we don't even really spend a lot of time with, is like the counselor, and she has to like counsel him, and he like needs to show remorse, and she's like, I'm gonna tell him you're not showing remorse, like I'm your aunt or whatever, but I can't go easy on you.
I gotta tell the police, and like it's not good if you tell. He's like going straight into like Walter White mode.
Yeah, and then that's enough for him to be like, I'm gonna murder you. Yeah.
What's his uncle's name? Badger.
Oh, fucking right. Badger. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of characters with no development or nothing allowed to happen to them except just whatever needs to happen to progress the plot. Like he's a red shirt, which is a shame because I fucking love that actor. And what little he was on screen
sequence was awesome, man. That's
it was cool. It was cool.
All right. This movie does correctly is like when it does have a kill sequence, it like kind of leans into it and it doesn't shy away from the gore.
It does.
His face like getting split in half by his steering wheel and it just like lingering on that shot. It's pretty badass, man.
I mean that's true, and I like for individually taken out of context, I like all of the kills in this movie. I like all of the
me too.
For the most part, all the
gore and
yeah, like, and the fact that they lean into that stuff, but like even the girl's mom, who was a huge piece of shit, and like insulted his parents, who he ostensibly doesn't love anymore. I don't know. Kind of tough to tell. Kind of a problem. But
there's a little bit of it. It seems like he still cares for the mom, and actually even the dad too. See, the dad's justified because like you could see the betrayal like in his face, and they like start to go off that conflict. I felt like they could have leaned into the dad being more like against the kid from the beginning. So there's always kind of this conflict, where the mom like really is like, oh, the baby, and we got it, and the dad's like
the only thing that's supposed to change in the paradigm of Superman in this is this kid's origins and intentions.
Yeah.
Everybody else that, I think they took extra pains to make sure that everything else, the circumstances were exactly the same as Superman.
That's true.
So both his parents are good, salt of the earth people out there, doing their shit. Like, I don't know. I forgot what I was saying earlier, but this whole thing sort of, the woman, like the little girl's mom, the way that he gets pissed off at this girl and he breaks her hand and shows no remorse for it out of the gate. No, not remorseful at all for breaking her hands. Like sometimes bad things happen for a good reason. It's like, oh, because you snuck into her room and she didn't love it. Like, okay, like you fucking shithead. But to then translate that into, okay, well, I'm going to kill your mom. And not only that, the first person I'm ever killed is going to be your mom. I'm ever going to kill is going to be your mom. And it's also going to be the most brutal kill of all time. I'm going to eviscerate. Like, it goes brutal really quickly for a kid. And you can say that that's the alien switch turning on and, like, all remorse is gone. All, like, his prime directive has changed, all that stuff. But, like, it's tough as a viewer to buy that or to sympathize or to be on board with the transition when the transition's so sudden and so strong and the pendulum just swings and stays in that corner the whole rest of the goddamn movie. There's no there's one moment where he's like, I want to do good things. Like, yeah, well, you just fucking like laser beamed your dad's head in half. So like, you failed already. Like, if you cared at all, like, you probably wouldn't have done that, even with the betrayal. Like, I just don't. I don't think I'm in this kid's head at all. I really feel like he's a walking plot device, and it's a shame because they spend a lot of time with this kid, and I really think they could have pushed him further.
Well, and even if they want to lean into like the alien aspect, like, oh, he's an alien, you're not supposed to relate to it. Some things I feel like they don't deliver on that either. I feel like they're shallow. Either anything's like shallow, like, oh, we're going to introduce you to a character, or they introduce you to like a plot device that they never deliver on. Like, for instance, you talked about how brutal the kill with the mom was. One thing that they introduced at the beginning is like the mom and dad like find some pictures under his bed, and at first it looks like it's like porn or whatever, like, oh, he's like jacking off or something. It's like it's just like pictures of girls like in their like bathing suits, like, oh, haha, he's a 12-year-old kid. But then it like starts to get to like surgeries or like of open bodies, and you're like, oh, and they're like, oh, what the fuck is this? And it's like really fucked up. It's like organs and stuff like that. And then at the end of this movie, that's what he does to the mom. You see, and like, I love again that they lean into like the brutality and the gore in this movie, but he has essentially like harvested the mom like near his spaceship, and like she's ripped open, but you have no idea why. Like, is he harvesting organs? Is he like eating her? Is he like,
I think that's supposed to imply the impulse. He's made good on those impulses that were hinted at before.
Yeah, but again,
it's the same problem.
It's like no, you don't, like, there's no, it's like, oh, there's something alien going on here. There's something foreign, but like, it's like there's no, like, there's nothing. It's just a plot device. It's literally just to have some crazy gore, which is cool because it looks nuts, and you're like, oh shit, this kid is like really fucked up. But you don't know like why, or
he's not just killing people; he's terrorizing them.
Yeah.
So like, this is not, and you can be pissed off or whatever, but like, he's still like, I don't know. It's tough to get. It's just tough to put yourself in the shoes of this kid on any level, and therefore it's tough for you to watch most of this movie and be on board with it, because it seems like kind of out of nowhere that he would not just, he would break the girl's hand on accident maybe and then have like a crisis for himself, but no, that doesn't happen. Instead, he just decides to brutally terrorize and murder her mom and cut her open. Like that, and then that also is never followed up on. You never see that little girl again. You never, like, the only thing you hear is that she's clammed up about the whole affair, which I guess is a resolution.
Like terrorized or whatever. Yeah.
And
one thing,
maybe
one thing I read online was about that little girl. There was like an alternate ending that they were kind of kicking around. I don't think they ever actually shot it. But
really?
They talked about potentially ending the movie with her basically turning into a superhero. Like, so Caitlin's a character's name. So they talked about like showing her in like a lab of some sort, fastening a robot arm onto her broken arm, and that was like gonna be sort of the ending of the movie, and I guess potentially setting up a conflict for the part 2 or whatever. But they never. I don't think they ever.
I'm okay with that not happening.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't shoot that.
But the fact that they still kind of have the remnants of that, of a setup for something, just kind of sits weird, because after, like, when we finally see that her mom like cut up and underneath the floorboards of the barn, it's like you had forgotten that character even existed by that point. And you're like, oh shit, yeah, okay. And
I had to think about who it was. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
It's just, it doesn't. I don't know. It's really the kid's journey that bothers me in this. The mom's journey makes a kind of sense. The dad's journey makes a kind of sense.
Yeah.
The other characters are pretty much red shirts in some capacity. But the kid, who's the main focus and probably gets the most airtime, except for maybe Elizabeth Banks, he just like, it's so like, again, it reminds me of We Need to Talk About Kevin. Have either of you guys seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you guys want spoiler alert on that or not. Do you care?
Randy, don't tell me.
Okay, well, okay, so it's a similar like a mother-son scenario, and it's very dangerous or whatever. And the kid is shown no remorse. He's acting really fucked up, and there's just nothing she can do about it. And to like in that movie, it made sense, like that he is nonsensical, and we're following Tilda Swinton's character around as she sort of like grapples with all this stuff and tries to still love her son despite his faults. like all that stuff kind of falls flat because in that case, it really seems like it's a mental disorder or there's something that she's just not scratching the surface hard enough on. But in this, we know from the beginning exactly what's wrong with this kid. He's a fucking alien, and we're just supposed to skip all this like instantly bizarre behavior to that instead of having it be an origin story for somebody. Like, you might as well have just had a brain implant that started blinking when he turned 13, and that would have had the same effect as the rest of the movie.
And I don't necessarily mind that because like, okay, last week we talked about a movie where we're not supposed to relate with the character, you know, like fucking Nick Cage, you know, he's a huge piece of shit, but there's got to be somebody. And the same thing with kind of like American Psycho, I guess. Like I guess they and here's the thing, they try, and that's the problem, is everything that they do is very shallow. I think that they try to add some conflict in the movie, like when he's destroying the house. I think he actively doesn't kill his mom because he kills the police immediately. So at the very end of this movie, he's killed his dad and he's going off the rails, and his mom knows he killed the dad, and she's in the house and he's just crashing through the house and he's screaming while he does it, and then cops show up at the house and he completely slams into one. That was cool because that dude explodes, shows how fast the kid is going and shit like that. So that was really cool. And then how did he kill the other woman? Really brutally. He just
whipped her around a lot.
Oh yeah, he you saw the shadow in the background. He was just fucking hulking.
He was just wailing on her.
Yeah, and he was slinging around the hallway, and she got tore up. And then so Elizabeth Banks gets out of the house, and he even sees her. He's flying in the sky, and he sees her, and he's super fast. We've seen, and he lets her go or whatever. And then at the very end, he does this whole thing Mom, I want to do good. There is some conflict there, but they never really deliver on it. And that's the thing. It's if he was,
not showing.
He's just saying it. If he was just a huge piece of shit, if he was a Patrick Bateman, or if he was this, then that's fine. Then at least give, you know, Elizabeth Banks more depth, and like you said, have us follow her around, or the dad and their relationship and maybe their conflict more. Okay, or make us feel bad when the uncle dies. Give us more time with that uncle and how he's a loving uncle, or something it's just so shallow, everything they do in this movie. Whoa, Bob making drinks.
Yeah, making drinks. Make me one, will you? I agree. It's just to some extent, I get what they're going for. It just it's really more an issue to me. I think that it falls flat. I understand what they're trying. They're doing, like you said, the same thing where you have a kid that's a character that's the central character that's kind of going insane, and then the other central characters are just kind of rolling with it, or trying to figure out, and they have at least a human pathos for us to follow. But the fact that he switches so quickly is so bizarre to me. I just can't really get past it. And it's if you're gonna do that, I can thinking about it now, I can see what progression they're going for. They're trying to show because at first the kid doesn't even know what he's doing. He's well, where am I? When he gets
he wakes
he's
up,
sleepwalking. Like any sleepwalker, and and that's fine, all well and good. And then he for some reason puts his hand in a fucking lawnmower and realizes he's super strong.
Oh yeah,
and shit like that.
And
that's all.
Lawnmower clear across the yard. That shit cracked me up.
That was funny. It was funny. I enjoyed that part. But that the progression they're going for is okay, so this is the discovery of powers. This is Tobey Maguire figuring out he shoots webs, and then the next part would be him struggling to understand how to use these powers, which he kind of does, but he starts once he realizes that he has this power and that he's special in that way, I think that what they're trying to show is okay, 13-year-old boys are terrible. So his natural impulse is well, I am superior. I'm factually superior. I don't just believe it. I am. I can stop. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So why would I put up with all this stuff that annoys me with my teenage hormones? But even that doesn't really work because he fucking he's people that he actually cared about at some point or another. He has no conflict with just murder. Earlier, he was given a gun by Badger, his uncle Badger, and he's super excited to get it. His dad gets pissed at him for giving it or whatever, but there's seeds of a real relationship there that you could show, and then show him being I can't let you go to the police, and being conflicted about having to stop him, and then overdoing it because he doesn't understand his powers yet, and then eventually like having that. It just doesn't.
You're
it
right.
Needs to gradually become.
Well, they didn't pick. They didn't pick one. They do the both. And you're right. You're exactly right. They do. He's an alien and he can't control it. And so he just goes buck wild. But then they also like say like, oh, he's a teenager and he has the whole superiority complex. It's like, no, like pick one and like develop that. But they like try to metaphor.
Like,
yeah, they try to dance between the two without ever, without
deciding to control himself this way, and it's both. By the end, he's decided to be Lex Luthor brain and Superman body or whatever. That should be the final decision of this movie. That makes sense. That's where it was progressing from the beginning.
Yeah.
But the way they get there is so counterintuitive to how you think of any character, and I mean, you can say. That's alien logic for you, and I can't argue with it. Yeah. But like,
that's lame.
Humans wrote the story. Like, this isn't Dune.
Exactly. It's written for humans.
So
you
I need
to
to
have that like emotional core.
Yeah, I don't even feel like it would have been that hard. They give you some of that. Yeah, like they didn't need to have. Yeah, they didn't need to have the ship tell him what to do at all. Like, it's so easy to create a conflict in a 12-year-old boy who has superhuman that you don't need a ship to control. He can kill his uncle and feel bad about it. Like, he can do something by accident.
Wrist and feel bad about it. He can
he can feel bad about it and have it's so easy for it to snowball out of control. Like, oh shit, the cops are after me. I need to like stop them. Oh shit, I exploded them. Like, I don't know how fast I can go. Like, that's fine. Like, that's because you can still do all of it.
Yeah, that's the human thing that it's missing. Like I know he's not human. I know that's part of the point. But if you're trying to make this metaphor of puberty and the way that teenage boys think being like malignant and horrible, that it is, but it's also rooted in a real person. Every evil person, every piece of shit that's ever walked the earth for the most part, at least in like say modern American society, has turned 13 and started doing shitty fucked up things for one reason or another. It's not. And they feel conflicted about it while they do it. They don't just like one day wake up and start shooting people. They have a reason for it in some capacity. They rationalize it to themselves somehow to start, and that's what leads them down the dark path. You don't just like shoots and ladders your way to the end of the dark path all of a sudden. It just story-wise, it just doesn't work.
Anger leads to hate. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to like make Elizabeth Banks sort of give her the emotional core of this movie, which like to the extent that it has one, I think she's it.
She's the closest. Yeah, she's the best, the closest developed.
She has an arc. She actually has an arc that's understandable in some capacity. But I mean, she's frustrating to watch because she does the mom denial thing for so long. It's like you can't be this much in denial. You just can't.
I think it's fine. I didn't think if you're gonna go that route, that's fine. But like, have her like, I don't know, have her maybe go extreme, like not hide a body, but like, I mean, she does, I guess, kind of hide the journal and stuff like that. But it's more toward the end. I felt like they just were so shallow on every decision they made. It's like they really couldn't pick a direction, and they never leaned to any. They played it like super safe. They were like, we're just gonna do this, and we're gonna deliver on the gore. And it could have been so much better if they had just been more decisive. Yeah.
This movie was about the gore and about seeing Superman.
Which is unfortunate because it feels like it would have been so easy to have it all. Like they give it to you, like, but just a little bit, like just not like they don't lean into it.
Don't she like I could see another version of this movie where Elizabeth Banks' character, in the face of this thing, her denial like just reaches a fever pitch, and she just goes full insane, becomes the Renfield to his Dracula, and is like helping him like cover up his shit or whatever, and then eventually does something wrong that causes him, the power tripping evil teen at the end of his journey, to then kill her. And like that,
Yeah.
I could see happening. That seems more satisfying to me. But the fact that he like sticks evil or whatever, I don't have a big problem with that. I'm kind of glad they didn't go the twisty route and try and like subvert that and just made it arc that Superman would have if he was evil or whatever. That's great. But it's just the path, and there's just no emotional core, not one that's strong enough to really help you progress each step of the path. You're really just kind of jumping to the end a lot of the times. You're like flash forwarding a lot through these people's journeys.
Guys,
and I don't know.
I know there's still a few things we haven't touched on, but we kind of need to start laying on the plane. And I know we have a bit of a time limit tonight, but let's go ahead and rate this thing out of 5. And then we also have a surprise recording from a guest we'll get to in a minute here. Surprise! Juice, why don't you start us off, man? How you feel about Brightburn out of 5?
I'm gonna give this movie, I think it warrants a 3. I feel like I was pleased with some, like I said, the gore. I was pleased with the gore and surprised by it a little bit, like when they show like a dismembered like body like all cut up and he breaks a little girl's hand. Like you usually don't see violence against like children and stuff. And they bitched out of that a little bit because there was like a bully at school that like you think is gonna get like his comeuppance, but he doesn't. So I think they were a little scared of that. But he does break the little girl's hand. He laser beams. We didn't like really talk about this, but he laser beams his dad like through the head, through his eyes, which is something they do in Injustice, the video game. He does that to Shazam, to Billy Batson, through his eyes, but like they did it in a movie. I was like, oh, they actually delivered on that. So he laser beams his dad through the face, through the back of the head. What does he do? He picks his uncle's car up and drops it and like fucks him up. He smashes into some cops. He like throws that other cop around. So that was like the gore like comes through.
He eviscerated a lady from a restaurant.
Yeah. And even that restaurant scene, like I thought was cool. They did add the horror element. So he busts into this restaurant and like this lady gets some glass in her eye and you can see through like the red. So they like there were some good horror elements in this, but it ultimately falls flat because they didn't invest anything hardly in the characters or in developing like a story that was like really interesting. It literally was like a paint by numbers. Like the guy starts here and he ends here and it's Superman. And but I literally like could have predicted this movie from the trailer. Like this is how it's gonna end. And he ultimately, we didn't talk about it, but he kills his mom. He like brings her, the last kill, another cool kill. He like brings her up into the air. He's Superman and he drops her and then he like smashes into a plane just to kill them. And and so all that's like really brutal and really cool, but it doesn't have a whole lot of emotional depth or weight or character development behind it. So I don't like care all that much. It literally just becomes spectacle. And that can only carry you so far. So I'm gonna give it a 3-star for that. I did like how they hinted at the end of like this terrible Justice League or whatever. They hinted at like, and it was fucking what's his name? What's that? Rooker?
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah, and I liked that they played into that because like it gave it a little bit of like dark humor, like levity. Like he played it like so goofy, and it was almost kind of had like a little bit of that like kind of slither, which like was absent throughout the rest of the movie. Maybe could have used a little more of that, but they like the Fishman is Aquaman, and like I guess like that Wonder Woman, she was like a witch or something. Like they do a bunch of things, and then the Martian guy, I like that they showed what's his
there's a nod to Super, that movie that's a James Gunn movie starring Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson one,
yeah. There was a nod in that part of the movie.
It Crimson Tide? Crimson something?
Yeah, Crimson Tide? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was kind of cool. And I think that this going forward has a potential for a franchise. Like there were things like even that I was thinking, I was like, all right, Superman has like X-ray vision. Like who's he going to be like creeping? I feel like there's potential for like
that's
this
the first thing a teenage boy should have done.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like there's potential for this to like maybe do another one on a bigger scale, and I'd be fine with it. I would just write like, come on, give me a little more. It's okay to give me like a little depth. It's okay to have the spectacle and the depth. I would say like I don't know why they kind of bitched out on it a little bit, but it was good enough and it was entertaining enough, so I'll give it a 3.
All right, cool. Randy, how do you feel out of 5?
Well, let's see. I covered a lot of what I felt. I'm gonna say that this, like, I did not particularly care for the way it was shot at the end with Elizabeth Banks's character falling to Earth. Like, I know what they were going for. They were going for that comic booky shot, but it looks so goddamn silly, and a lot of the CG in this movie looks goddamn silly.
They suffer.
The CG baby in particular, I was like, oh my god, the like in that nightmare sequence with the CG baby. I don't know about all that.
Even the laser beams in the head, like, it's a cool idea, but the CG, like,
I mean, I was okay with that because what do laser beams look like?
Sure,
you know. But like when you're talking about I know what a baby looks like, and it's not like that. So that kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. I did not care for the Justice League thing. Well, here's the thing about the Justice League thing they had going on. I didn't really get to even enjoy it, even if I wanted to, because the theater that I was in, I was surrounded by this large group of teenage boys, and half of them were sleeping, half of them were talking and on their phones the whole time really loudly, and it was fucking annoying. They calmed down for a while, and then right at the end, some of their friends came in and were walking in front of me back and forth during the end of the fucking movie. Like, before the plane showed up, they were walking back and forth, and I was like, what the fuck is it? And talking to each other, and like, oh, what do we do now? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I was really pissed. So, take that for what it's worth. I just had a bad movie-going experience. It wasn't bad beer bad, but it was a bad movie-going experience.
It's not gonna drop the movie like a 1.5 stars.
It's not gonna affect the score, but
I'm gonna talk about my beer movie experience when I rate it. Okay, we'll get back to that.
All right. Okay, we'll be back to that. So yeah, overall, this, like, the kids' journey was just too hastily done to me because they really wanted to get to that spectacle of the gore, and I get that. I just don't think that they laid enough groundwork for me to care about most of these characters, and I mean, for my money, like, I like movies that are spectacle fine, but this seemed to aspire to more and just fell at it. It just tripped on itself. And as far as like sequels and stuff, no thank you. Like, I just don't. This was the perfect story of what if Superman was bad, and it just doesn't need to go any further. Like, there's been 12.5 storylines of Superman being evil in the comic books. If I really wanted an extended arc about that, I could find it. I don't need it to be a Hollywood production necessarily, and I certainly don't need it to follow this movie where I already don't care about the Superman character. So I just don't want anything to do with that. I think it's funny that they put in like this Michael Rooker as an Alex Jones type and had like these Justice League things and had a reference to Super. That's all well and good. I have no problem with that. I hope that it's not what people are assuming it is, which is, oh, it has franchise stamped all over it. I'm like, I really don't like. If they made another one of these movies, I would give it a shot, but it's pretty slim to none chance that I will get a lot out of it, I'm thinking now. And certainly not if they start trying to introduce new, like, fucking super characters or whatever. It just gets to be like, once you like, we already have Watchmen, we already have people pretending to be superheroes, and then the Superman that, we already have that story and it works so well for me that I don't really need to see it done in a lesser way just to see people get eviscerated. I can see people get eviscerated without that. So yeah, it's a 2.5 for the 2.5 for me. And like I said, like, some of the camera work wasn't so great, but for the most part it was good. The acting was pretty good, even though the roles were pretty slight. Even the kid was for what he was told to do, he did a great job, I thought. I just this movie kind of fell flat for me, and I was really giving it a chance because I kind of was walking into it not expecting to like it, and I was like, okay, got to set all that shit aside, try to see what's so good about this movie, and what was good about it was stuff that you can get elsewhere for cheap, for less emotional teasing.
Yeah.
So
I feel you.
2.5.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with you, Randy. I'm going to give this a 2.5 as well. It's got a lot of the gore. It's got a lot of the fun stuff, the spectacle, but it definitely lacks that emotional grounding, which is what kind of separates the men from the boys, right? Like, the reason we go to the movies is because we connect, we feel things. The movies make us feel things. This movie didn't really do that, hardly at all. I will say Elizabeth Banks did a great job and she carried the entirety of the emotional weight of the movie. Really, the kid did fine. He was just evil, and that's not interesting. Like the most.
He was
Yeah.
a good little shit. I did want to like slap the shit out of that kid. Like, come on, little fucker.
The most interesting bad guys are the bad guys that can like rationalize why they're bad, and they think they're good. Like they have reasons, and like they're good in their own mind, and that's what makes them like conflicting and interesting and human. And but it's an alien. Yeah, of course it is. But that's lazy. That's lazy writing, is what it is. I will say, like, my favorite part about this movie was like kind of a small little piece, but Justin mentioned it. It's like earlier in the movie where there's like this lady working at a restaurant, and the kid's like terrorizing her, and she gets a shard of glass in her eye, and they do this like they take this like classic horror movie thing where like
I like that.
you watch Halloween or you watch any slasher movie, and you always see like the killer's point of view, like you're looking through the killer's eyes, but they kind of turn it on its head a little bit, and like you end up looking through the victim's eyes, this lady's eyes, and she just got stabbed in one of her eyes, so like half the screen turns blood red. And I just thought that was like a really simple, cool thing that I'd never seen done in any horror movie before. Maybe it's been done. I haven't seen everything, but I've never seen that, and I just thought it was like kind of like very simple, but like really smart and interesting. I don't know. I appreciated that. It got
I like that too.
My horror boner going. Yeah.
Damn, the Q-Chan
got that vinegar stroke going.
Yeah, it got it got my Q-Chan going. So yeah, and I had two good beers while watching this movie.
Ooh, two good ones.
Oh, that's +1 star.
Should be a 4-star then, Bob.
I went with a few friends. Mikey went, and when I met up with Mikey, he was already like 2/3 lit. And then we just each got a beer and took it into the theater. And like halfway through the movie, he just like literally ran down the stairs without saying anything. And I was like, that man is going to go make a bad choice. I don't know what he's going to do. He just brought back this huge tray full of beers, which I didn't even know they had trays.
Oh, I thought he was going to go vomit.
No. He's brought back a whole bunch more beers, and then I spilled a lot of it on him.
Oh, Bob.
Oh, -1 star.
Shit happens.
That's why it's not a 4-star. It got bumped up and then it got bumped back down.
Also, the seats didn't recline. -1.
They did recline. It was great. It was a lovely movie.
Plus half.
+1.
But yeah, I think we more or less covered it all. So let's go ahead and hear from our mystery guest here. Calling in, we got Cesar the Old Bish, our comic book guru, wanted to weigh in on some Brightburn, and he's gonna have some interesting points that we didn't really touch on because he's a nerd and we aren't, right?
We're
right.
lower castes. We're lower in the caste system.
We are.
Nerds. We have a lot of boot to lick before we
nerds.
get to his level.
But yeah, let's go ahead and hear what Cesar has to say about Brightburn. Here we go.
Man's got his own intro bump.
I know. It's like, damn, Bob's got to get on it and like give me some custom music. God.
That's his Undertaker music. Just plays whenever he enters the ring.
It's so
That's
oh shit.
The old bitch.
The bad
he
seed
comes
is a
in
great
style.
recommendation. I want to second that. Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I agree that there's a ton of subtext going on here. And he's right that you could say it's a nature versus nurture thing, but I just don't see the nurture as being strongly represented in this movie, except
much,
you know, or at least for what it is, it's entirely on Elizabeth Banks's end. It seems like where she's the one sort of like displaying that, but there's very little displayed in terms of how his upbringing has affected him, like, and what the lessons that they have supposedly imparted on him, how they've impacted him at all. So I don't know, but yeah, it's. Oh, by the way, he didn't say it in this review, but he did text me that his review score is a 2.5 as well.
2.5.
So,
whoa, almost across the board.
So
Sorry,
that's
my beer was just too good.
The aggregate is going to be a 2.6 on Brightburn there, which is fine. Let's go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and find out what the critics and users think about Brightburn. Take it away, Juice.
All right, let's hop into it. Rotten Tomatoes is going through all kind of changes. So let's go ahead. We still got our solid critic score, though. We'll jump into that one first. Total count from the critics, 120. This is a new movie out fresh this weekend. So we'll see what the critics have to say about that. Let's go around the table. I think I picked Rob first last time, so I'll go Randy first. What do you think 120 critics have to say about Brightburn, Randy?
I honestly don't know. I got to think it's pretty middling for them. That's just my instinct.
Yeah.
probably for the same reasons it's kind of middling for us. Or maybe I flatter myself, but I'll go with a 75.
75.
A solid C.
Okay. All right. Rob, what do you think? New superhero horror movie. Seems like a perfect combination, for everything people want these days.
Kind of,
people
yeah.
What they want.
I don't know. I think critics are going to look at this and be like, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not trying to be, but it's trying to cash in on the success of Marvel movies. So I don't know. I think
there's not one talking raccoon in this movie.
That's the standard now.
I think it's lower. I'll play it safe. Go with a straight chilling Spesh 69.
69. All right, 75, 69. Rob's going to take it. This movie is not fresh. It's not far from fresh, but it's not fresh. It is certified, it is rotten. It is
certified.
It is a 57% from our 120 critics. The critic consensus is, although Brightburn doesn't fully deliver on the pitch black promise of its setup, it's still enough to offer a subversion of the superhero genre.
That's interesting that they say that, because Cesar was not having that line of thinking.
He's like, you're
wrong. I agree more with Cesar. Can we write like an autobiography and call it Not Far From Fresh, please?
Not far from
fresh. The straight chilling story.
I love that shit.
So yeah, and I can't tell anymore. They took it away. I don't know how many critics rated it. What. It's gone. It's gone now. Everything's gone. Everything is not there.
Him.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys not know that we do this?
I'm probably the first person to email you a complaint, but here it is.
You ruined our game.
I know this is the internet and everyone is always happy about everything, but I have a complaint to make.
Whoa.
Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm sure you've seen the straight chilling documentary Not Far From Fresh.
Not Far From Fresh. Hashtag hard with us.
Oh man, I can't wait for that to be a real documentary that's rated rotten as fuck. Definitely the short, the aggregate score thing is gonna say this movie is far from fresh or some other tried bullshit.
Situational irony. All right, so let's get into the audience score now, and they have a new system where they verify, because this is the internet and we've gotten to that point. They verify through tickets. So if you want to leave a rating on new movies, because how would you do it with old movies? I don't know. If you want to leave like an audience score now, I think they verify through ticket stubs or something. I don't know. So the number's pretty low. It is just shy of 1,949 on the Oozer rating here. So let's start with Bob first. What do you think the people are feeling about the Brightburn? They feeling the burn, Bob?
I think they're going to be more forgiving than the critics, for sure. I'll go with an 82.
82. Feeling the burn from Goth Bob. All right, Randy.
Yeah, I also think that probably people are going to be a little more forgiving. They don't, nah. 75. We'll stick with that.
75. All right. Randy's going to take it.
Hey.
Unfortunately, nobody chose the straight chillin' spesh, because it is, in fact, the straight chillin' spesh. We're sitting at a beautiful 69% on the audience score. One thing we didn't talk about at all, I mean, it's on the poster that we're going to be giving away, but the mask. We didn't talk about like his mask or anything at all, which, I mean, I guess
I get it.
Talk about, yeah.
I get I get I get what they were trying to do with it, but it just
I guess
not interesting.
I guess there was no need for it because he didn't feel any remorse. So if they had gone the way
Superman don't have one.
Oh, if he needs to rob a bank to save his family farm, or he actually felt bad about it, then of course he would wear a mask. But he doesn't, and he feels superior about it.
everybody he's killing knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
They're not like,
Yeah.
oh no, who are
He's
you?
not-
Everybody knows.
Nobody's shocked.
Yeah,
Like,
except maybe the mom in the diner, or yeah, which was the best sequence. Okay, maybe, but he doesn't care, so it doesn't matter.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so that is Rotten Tomatoes. Where are we going now?
Where are we going
I don't
now? Oh.
Yeah, we going
Sorry.
trivia or are we going hunting?
Disneyland.
Randy, is there trivia? Did you?
It's so new. There's just really not a ton of trivia. Most of the trivia that I found has been, references to other, superheroes and things
Probably
like that. Which people
old
have
Bish gave us the most trivia. I didn't notice the superhero
I
town
didn't either.
square thing or whatever.
Me either.
There was a couple of references to Super, which I haven't seen in years, but I caught up with that. Other than that, for the most part, it was
Yeah.
what everybody pretty much picked out of it.
Old Bish was our trivia this week, so we can do some light hunting, I suppose.
Yeah.
Light
Let's
hunting.
Let's go hunting real quick. Who is the cooter of the week?
Well, the cooter, and I hate to say it because I hate it when it's just like the villain is the cooter. Of course,
Yeah.
he does these things, but I mean, he hit some elements. It's just some weak cooter work, People.
I think
They don't
honestly,
even have
every
a backup.
I need to write to James Gunn and say, look, guy, okay, we need to talk about the cooter.
we
Okay?
need to have some side cooters here, please. Just a couple cooters on the
but-
side.
I mean, the kid in general, he hit some pretty solid cooter marks. He's
Every
getting that
13-year-old boy is a
pewter-
cooter.
Yeah, every 13-year-old boy is a sexual deviant. If you're not surprised by this, then, surprise! But I mean, he is creeping on this little girl. He definitely, once he gets rejected,
gut
he kind of
porn.
fucks her up. Yeah, he definitely's got some gut porn, which is really weird. So he's hitting the mark on that. But what else though? I mean, the smug arrogance, I guess. He's like, I am superior. He doesn't give two shits about anyone. Like, as soon as he finds out then that he is an alien, I guess that's something we didn't talk about either, is the mom actually tells him like, oh, you're an alien. And then that's when he kind of gets his superiority complex. And so he is definitely like a huge arrogant prick once he kind of finds that out. He's not doing a whole lot of manipulation. Unless you, I guess, if you
He's
think
trying to
about,
intimidate people.
yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
and if you think that maybe he was faking with his mom, like, Mom, I'm trying to do good, like, because sometimes I guess he kind of does play that like card, like, or like that I'm innocent, or like I'm not really that bad, or something. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that, and then attire. He wears his blanket around, I guess. He's rocking the Linus look.
The mask doesn't make sense, so I guess you could point to that. But
Yeah, I guess if they had spent more
He's
time
hitting cooter
like
marks.
making it or something, he's hitting some marks, and I hate.
he's a well-qualified cooter.
Yeah,
but
I hate when
that's-
it's just like the villain.
Yeah.
It's not a revelation cooter or anything like that. But I mean, a
No big
cooter's a
shock.
cooter. You gotta call him out. Call him when you
twist
see it.
ending, just like the movie.
Cooter's gonna coot.
Yeah, Coot
Gotta
Boogie. Yeah.
Boogie. All right.
And
right.
now it's time for that official hotline scream.
Oh yeah, the hotline scream. Yeah. We do have one voicemail this week from our boy Michael, calling in. He helms the Horror Apocalypse podcast. It's been a couple weeks, I think, since we've heard from him.
Horror apocalypse. Horror apocalypse. Everyone. Make sure
You're
you
right.
heard that right.
You really need to enunciate that one. Yeah.
Horror.
Mhm.
Apocalypse. But if you yourself would like to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can reach us at 904-638-3231. Let's go ahead and hear from Michael and see what he has to say.
Ooh, tall
Hey,
order.
Michael. Yeah, I know. If we didn't have jobs or like need to have jobs, I'd be down with that easily.
If you guys want to pay us a living salary,
this
we
is
will
our
do
job,
that.
Yeah.
I will watch a horror movie and review it every single day.
I'll review every day.
Actually, yeah.
Every day. Let's go. You guys can make that happen.
Rob
With
would be living the
40,000 year
dream.
benefits.
I would be living the dream. Indeed.
Vinegar strokes every day.
Yeah. By the way, you have to we each get our own checks if we do it that way. Bob ain't handling the money at that point. It'll all go straight down the vinegar hole.
Just down the vinegar hole.
That's the worst name for a strip club I've ever heard.
The vinegar hole. God damn.
Holy
Well,
shit.
all right.
Anyways,
Well, Bob,
Bob,
why don't you
Bob
start
just,
us off?
Bob just
Already-
swimming in
your
the
great
vinegar hole.
cockroaches.
Sure.
You're in.
Yeah. So Michael, yeah, his question was, well, first he referenced the Creep Show episode that we did with Shortbox. We were talking about the last segment where like cockroaches run amok. If you live in Florida or the dirty South in general, you're familiar with cockroaches. I hate them very much. They freak me out. Anyway, his question was what scene from what movie really creeps you out or disturbs you? I kind of had a few. It's hard to pick one ultimate scene. But I know, so there's like this one scene that has caused me to walk out of a horror movie. It's like, I don't know that I've walked out of any other horror movie that I can think of. But Justin, you were there with me. We went together to go watch the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. And there's this one like really messed up, like terrible rape scene. And like halfway through that scene, we were just like, nah. And just, we left. I still haven't finished watching that movie, but that's like probably one of the most disturbing scenes in any movie I've seen. And, that includes like all the crazy nonsense that was in like a Serbian film. I think that was still worse, personally. Also,
you were pretty young.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. It was a while ago. There's also this like one jump scare in The Conjuring 2 that every time I watch that movie, I know it's coming, and it still makes me like scream out loud. Is it
like, when they start singing Elvis songs?
Yes, that's exactly right. No, it's like the old man ghost. He like jumps out from behind the television screen and scares a little girl. It fucking kills me every time. I don't know. And then also I get like freaked out by like being stuck, like people being stuck in tight places. Oh. So there's that scene with The Descent. The girl gets like stuck crawling through this tiny little hole in the rocks. And then also there's another one, that Blair Witch movie that came out a few years ago where the girl's crawling through like a tunnel underneath the house.
Yeah.
God, that shit freaks me out, son.
That would suck, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And the teeth. The teeth, Bob.
Yeah, I don't really
teeth boy.
Ron, what
if you want to send Rob your teeth or pictures of your channel cosplay where you dress up in a bunch of teeth, send it to Rob's email or his home address, which I will share with you post tense.
I actually do want to see that cosplay.
It starts with 6969.
Oh,
that's
God.
the home address.
Yeah, I have trypophobia. Look it up if you don't know what that is. Those are the scenes that I had. Holes.
Holes is holes.
What about you guys? What did you guys come up with?
Scary wise, I mean, I would say like a lot of scenes from like The Exorcist, like the spider stairs, and then of course when like disturbing wise when she like stabs herself in the cooch with the crucifix. I mean, that's really terrible. So a classic, Exorcist. And I feel like one of the most like scary like jump scenes like from like a more contemporary movie is like Insidious. I know there's like a lot of moments in Insidious where like, oh shit, like I remember being like, I know when she like walks through the house and it's that classic like James Wan back when he was like subtle about shit, and there's like somebody like in the like somebody in the closet beside them, or like I don't know, I just remember there's like a lot of movies in that movie that maybe you're like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh god. So I would reference like just moments from Insidious of being like actually like jumping or like scared and stuff like that kind of stick out in my mind.
Cool. Randy, what you got?
Yeah, I got a few examples. To you guys' points, like any sort of like rape scene is really disturbing to me. I have a hard time with those. Let's see. In terms of specific moments, I wrote down a few, and this is by no means a full list of what I would like to bring up, but a few. Babadook, that scene where she's hiding under the covers and he's right up on the roof and then sort of comes down on top of her. That one got me pretty good a couple times. I was like, that whole movie is so great at causing like the right amount of tension to make a jump scare count. There's that. There's in The Exorcist as well. Anytime you see Pazuzu's face, like the demon face, that shit. Legitimately, like I remember being pretty young, even before I saw the movie. That image was just floating around the web, and I came upon it once, and I had like hurriedly scrolled away from it because it freaked me out. It really freaked me out, and like to this day, it's like it's not as bad as then, but like it just bothers the fuck out of me. It's something really distressing about that face. Going a little bit like on the edges of horror or outside of horror, you might say. Requiem for a Dream. That moment in that movie, this is where I have an existential problem. That moment in the movie where Sarah Goldfarb, the older woman, after, like, spoiler alert, some things happen to her and she does not end up well mentally. And she sort of like walks out and is greeted by her old friends who she used to sit around and shoot the shit with, and they just like they start breaking down and crying because she's not even there, you know.
That's made my like stomach just drop when you mentioned that.
I know, like, that shit.
That
it's
fucking
so
movie. Fuck that movie, dude.
That's like an emotional fucking like knife to the back. It's just
the most depressing.
It's hard to
I think
watch.
I've ever seen.
And then the last one I have written down is Mulholland Drive. Either you guys seen that?
No.
Parts of
it. There's this one scene, and it's like widely cited as one of the scariest moments in like lists and shit. Is the diner scene, Winky's Diner, which is basically a Denny's clone. And you have these two guys I don't think you had met them before in the movie, if I remember right. They're just having a conversation. The guy's like, I had this crazy dream where I've had it a few times, and I'm at this restaurant, and then I go out back, and by the dumpster, there's some sort of homeless person or something that comes out and attacks me. And the guy's like, oh, well, let's go back there and see if he's there. And he's fucking there, and it's a really notable piece of horror because for its horror like effectiveness, because it's so David Lynch. It does like, instead of having like a hard stinging music like note like of somebody jumping out, instead it's just a slow build of like just a low, almost indiscernible rumbling like and as he's sort of like easing his way up, and then when he shows up, the guy just passes out and might as well be dead. Like he's like, it's fucking crazy. Watch that shit. It's an effective fucking scene. So yeah, there's a lot of like scenes that kind of freak me out. There's no like one thing I would point to as like the scariest thing I've ever seen though.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick just one, but I think we had some pretty interesting topics, some creepy scenes. It's interesting, like both of you guys are talking about The Exorcist, because everybody uses that as like a touchstone, as like the scariest movie ever to be made. But like, I don't know, it does hold up in a way, man. Over the years, over the decades, it's still held up.
It's fucked up. Like the fact that when is that movie made in the 70s? Was it like 77 or something?
Yes.
7. That sounds.
I mean, like that's some fucked up shit for the 70s, man. Which I mean, you're getting like some Texas Chainsaw stuff, but I mean, The Exorcist,
73.
I mean, that's like some. I can't, dude. The fucking Satanic Panic crew.
One of the things that I did
wild.
One of the instances I didn't go over was also from the 70s, I think pretty early, maybe even late 60s, which is The Last House on the Left, the original, where they have like the inciting incident of that, like every like revenge like movie like that is the rape and a murder of a young girl, and it's set to like jangly bluegrass music. It's really disturbing to me. I remember watching
That
it the first time. I was like,
72.
72.
Wait, what movie?
Yeah.
72.
Last House on the Left.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
yeah. And like Deliverance too, like that fucking kid playing the banjo and then like raping people and shit. I don't know, fucked up shit. There's all kind of fucked up shit.
If you take away one thing from this podcast, it's that Ray bad. Don't like it. Not fans.
Learn that. If you don't know that already, at least take
Please.
that away.
If you don't know that already, please seek help.
Yeah.
And carry that not thought with you as you go.
Yeah.
Mikey likes it.
Oh,
What?
okay. Let's go ahead and jump into some horror news. All right, first things first, we definitely got to talk about that new trailer that dropped for Annabelle Comes Home.
We got to. It's so hot. It's so hot right now.
It's so
My
hot.
God, she's come
You can't
home.
even touch it. It's a hot potato.
Jeez. Oh.
She's coming home on June 26th, which is like a month away,
Dude,
right
best
around the corner.
best line in this
Annabelle-
trailer. What is it? What's the best line in this trailer?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
It's when the
I
cop
don't know.
goes, "Nice doll," and
No.
then Warren goes, "That's what you think."
That's what you think.
Oh,
This
shit.
Holy
is.
shit.
I was like, "This is the route we're going." This is.
Yeah. This movie is
Ooh.
going to be the Super Smash Brothers of the Wannaverse. It's just a bunch of motherfuckers. They're DLCing fucking all sorts of disparate ghosts from all over the ghost world to come in and just be a part of a mega haunting. And
Dude, they're
You know,
just.
I couldn't be
I
less
hope that-
enthused.
Is the
hope
next
that's what
movie
it is.
gonna be the dude with the coins? That's all I think about when I see these
Yeah,
movies. Now.
exactly.
It's like, what is gonna
Exactly.
be? What is it? Oh, coin guy. He's. Oh, we're gonna go back. I'm just like, I'm so burnt out.
Like it's
The,
like a cabin in the woods, but without the self-awareness and with like 20 movies leading up to it.
It's like Cabin in the Woods, but it's just like it's like Mr. Monopoly Man, like just rubbing his fingers together or like twirling his monocle, like, oh yes. It's just
That's how you picture James Wan.
back when he was subtle though and made Insidious and The Conjuring. Back when James Wan was subtle. I like that.
Oh,
But so far, just in the trailers that have been put out for this movie, like we see they're setting up like an evil monkey toy with like the crash symbols. There's like a samurai character. There's a demonic werewolf looking thing. There's the bride.
Coin
they
Eyes.
have been talking about. Yeah, Coin Eyes.
The
They're calling
bride
him
coin.
the Ferryman.
Oh
Apparently.
my god. The fact that they all have names,
fact-
like the
Yeah.
fact that you can
Well,
look
the
like
thing
do a Google search and be like, what monster? The ferryman and
Dude,
the bride
James Wan-
James Wan's newest. It's like, dude, that was Insidious.
James Wan and
You
his
know.
whole like production crew or whatever, they just watch and listen to every episode of lore they get their hands on, and they're like, okay, that's a movie. That's part of the franchise now. The Ferryman's like a thing. The fucking La Llorona was a thing, and they're just like, okay, plucking that out of relative obscurity to turn it into a fucking Warren fest. I don't care what the
So-
Warrens have to do with the goddamn Ferryman.
I gotta
Just don't.
say, after watching this trailer, I don't know. Looks like it could be fun.
It better be fun because it's sure as
mean-
hell not going to be smart.
Yeah, the premise
Right,
is even dumb. Like the Warrens are just going to leave a babysitter alone that she can unlock the door. Like that's the premise. That's the premise.
The ghosts probably unlock it. I'm sure there's some excuse.
But
to
I
it.
mean, still, but
just
like,
leave your
still.
daughter with your
just
grandmother or something.
yeah,
They-
take her to somewhere else.
They gotta go
like
all
keep
in
those
though.
at a
That's-
church or something.
That's how this movie fails, I think. Is if they like start going down that path where like shit's hitting the fan and then they shy away and they're like, but no, we gotta keep it scary because the Wannaverse, right? No,
Well, no.
Just be dumb and
I'd rather
crazy.
see like Yeah, I would rather see like some shoot backstage like chairs across the head moments between La Llorona and the Nun.
Me
or something.
too.
I would be
Yeah.
fine with
Yeah.
that.
I
That's
feel
where
like
this
they're
movie
gonna
should
pull.
go.
I feel like they're gonna pull some of the punches in order to be like, what are they gonna do next time? Like as far as like
Yeah.
the ghost, like they're gonna try to make like some other like ferryman movie or some kind of shit. So I
Yeah.
feel like they're gonna like hold back, like, oh, what can the ferryman really do? Like it's just like
Thanos is in this fucking movie. You know
Dude,
he is.
I am done. Like, I didn't see the La Llorona. I'm like, after the Nun, I was just like, dude, this is not even worth. It's not worth my
shat
time.
the bed with that one. And if I start to hear rumblings that it's on the upswing, then I'll give it another shot. And I don't like this. This is a lot of shit talking. It's only because we really were on board for a long time with this string of movies. Like we stuck with it, and we just have not been rewarded, and it's become like horribly formulaic to the point where it needs a hard reset in the form of Mortal Kombat between ghosts.
Also, I like completely like keep forgetting this isn't even The Conjuring 3. They're just like the same thing in my mind. I keep forgetting this is not even The Conjuring 3, which is also coming out like soon.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna be this year though, right?
Is that not the same fucking movie?
It was gonna
Yeah, that's what I keep.
Why is
it's just
this
like
not
in
The
my
Conjuring
mind?
3?
I
Why is
can't.
Annabelle so central?
Yeah, this should be The Conjuring 3. It's like
Annabelle
anytime
3
I see
beat
the
out
one.
Conjuring 3, which
Yeah,
is
that's
crazy.
It's like, why does Annabelle? It doesn't fucking matter. We've talked about it. It's all.
We have. The real kick in the dick, I think, is we all really do love a good James Wan horror flick. We always have.
Yeah.
We've always spoken
There
so
are several.
highly about
Yeah,
it.
I think that's the thing. Yeah.
And it just sucks that he just kind of produces and then they just churn these out because, it's quick money. And it's just kind of a bummer overall. That's really where we're coming from.
He didn't direct
thing
this,
is-
right? He didn't direct this,
No.
right? He is
No,
directing.
it's the same.
He's not even directing The Conjuring 3.
No, the director of La Llorona is doing The Conjuring 3.
Yeah, I don't even care then. I don't
Good.
care.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It should be directed by fucking, like, I don't know, Paul Rubens or somebody. Just pluck somebody out of thin air and just make him direct it because it's gonna have the same
hope like
effect.
our Hereditary guy and our Witch guy. I hope they never go down this path because they're keeping me like they have become my new. It was like when The Conjuring came out, it's like, oh, James Wan, like these two guys, they're my new like superstars, and old Peel, man, that's like they're the new superstars of the horror. Like fuck James
they
Wan.
definitely
Not fuck James Wan, but I don't care.
No.
He doesn't hold.
I don't care
any
for what
weight
they're
anymore.
doing.
These other
the
people
thing is, like, they're
still
doing
have
whatever-
their integrity to them, I guess.
Well, they're still putting like a lot of like themselves into everything they produce. They're not outsourcing things so much, and the quality dips when you do that. The thing is, like, this is not the first time a horror franchise has over sequeled itself into oblivion, but it's a shame that it's still happening with people directing it who lived through that experience of having Friday the 13th go completely bonkers and turn into horse shit for a while, and then Friday and Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, there's so many movie franchises, especially in the 80s, that were birthed out of sheer let's make some money, and people like to make fun of them now, and there's only the odd sequel here or there that you're like, yeah, that was pretty good, or I stand by that one, but do you guys really want to go down that road of just over making something to the point where it loses all of its impact and all of its heaviness, all of its weight?
So speaking of horror sequels, I've got some good news. The next
good news.
Next piece I want to mention here is Hallelujah. Terrifier 2 has been funded and is going to start filming this fall.
Hallelujah through the streets.
Oh yeah.
So we've got
thank God
a quick little blurb here as far as what the plot is. So after being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to Miles County where he
Did
must
he
hunt
die?
down...
I don't remember.
So let's get into that.
All
where he
right.
must hunt down and destroy a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween. So it's still set on Halloween. Hallelujah. So from what I remember in that movie is that he just cannot die. Like he should.
Yeah,
have
that's
died,
what I remember
like,
too.
Gets shot in the head and just gets back up, no problem.
Or I
So
don't
that's a
remember
little
him dying.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do like the idea of him terrorizing children on Halloween.
Are they children or are they like just brother and sister? Did they say they were children?
It says teenage girl and her younger brother, so
Teenage.
he's not,
So she's really going to be like 28.
He's gonna be in his
Oh,
late
no.
50s.
So
Okay, well, scratch that. I thought I was a little more excited than I guess what I should have been.
I don't.
Leone goes on to say the scope of Terrifier 2 is going to be 10 times bigger than the original. It's going to be the merciless, no holds barred.
I think that's going to make it better.
That we all want.
I think he works better probably in more smaller, intimate like places.
Potentially.
It's just gonna be like slicing ladies' coochie to throat like 12 times in a row, I guess.
It's more, so it's better.
I don't know.
Well,
it's more cooch slices.
I'm excited for it.
Rob likes his cooch slices, let me tell you.
Oh, come on.
Let's move on. Oh.
Yeah. It's starting to go down a
Terrifier. Well, hopefully it's better than the first for my tastes, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah,
I just don't think
I think that first one's got its charms. I don't know. Maybe it could be better, but it's I'm not hopeful.
Well,
I have no hope.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna cook. Last bit of news here. So Zack Snyder, he's going back to zombie movies. He's making another zombie movie. It's this one's gonna be called Army of the Dead, and it's gonna be a Netflix joint. I think we talked about it once on the show before. But they started casting. Dave Bautista is going to be headlining this joint, and
really,
Ella Purnell was just cast. I'm not totally sure who she is, but she's going to be in it. So the plot is as follows: the adventure is set amid a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, during which a man assembles a group of mercenaries to take the ultimate gamble, venturing into the quarantine zone to pull off the greatest heist ever attempted. So yeah, Zack Snyder, he says there are no handcuffs on me with this one. Netflix, I guess, just wrote him a check and said make a damn zombie movie. So I'm sure it'll be great.
What could go wrong?
I mean, he did that one, and it was like a solid zombie. The remake,
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I love Dawn of the Dead.
But I mean, he could be. I don't. When I think of like Zack Snyder going buck wild, I'm like, I don't necessarily think like good. Like that's not the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah. But I don't know.
It's gonna be 6 hours long.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like that dude doesn't seem to know how to rein himself in. So I don't know.
Giving him free reign seems kind of like the backwards thing to do.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be one of those Netflix movies where you're like, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty lukewarm on that movie.
That is it. Maybe Anthony will tell Zack Snyder that we hate his movies one day.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Go straight chilling. Boys really hate your shit. Hey, at least you know. Any press is good press, right, boys?
He would just say, who?
You know, a straight chilling crew. Hashtag hard with us.
We're the haters. We're the hater committee.
We have claimed that hashtag. I mean, it's blowing up, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Hasn't been verified. Remains to be seen, but I'm sure.
Dude, if we could somehow take over hard with us, but people think it's like some kind of weird porn hashtag, but it's really just our hashtag. That's the
it's
key.
not a stretch.
I
think that's the really natural thing that your brain.
We got to get into the adult industry. That's how we make it big, boys.
Not doing us any favors here. Really not. That's it. That's all I got for the news. That's gonna do it for us here this week at Straight Chilling Headquarters. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show. We're going to be talking about another new movie, Godzilla, King
Gojira.
of Monsters. Gojira.
I always think of that like,
Oh.
isn't it 1997 or whatever? No, 99.
Godzilla 2000.
Where that
Oh,
chick thinks
the
it's like,
99.
what is she think like Gojira or something? Gojira.
Gojira.
What?
Yeah,
Or something.
Somebody does say
From
it.
1999. It's just that white bitch.
Good Lord. So until next week, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at str8_chilling. We are on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join our Slack channel, let me know on any one of those social media platforms I just mentioned, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. We talk about the movie of the week, as well as various spooky TV shows. We've been talking about some Game of Thrones, talk about some Joe Bob Briggs, talk about comic books, talk about all kinds of fun stuff all week long. Watch Justin on Twitch. Hit us up on YouTube for the behind the scenes stuff, and definitely make sure to comment on this week's video if you want to win that hot Brightburn poster.
Hot poster, baby. Also, I also forgot to mention
Burning a hole in your eyes.
And yeah, an easy way to find it too is if you go to the playlist. It'll be in the behind the scenes playlist. Easy way as well.
Sweet deal.
There we go.
I think that's about it. All you sweet babies, take care, and until next week, as always, everybody, please keep chilling.
Oh shit.